What's up everyone, hope you guys doing well. In this video we're going to see all the things I missed in the soldering tools video. It was supposed to be a single part. I knew like it was going to be like 30-minute video, but I feel so bad that I did not include some of the things which are supposed to be there. I thought like it's really important to be included, so that's why I mentioned it as part 1, and I wanted to finish that video, and this would be sort of like the part 2 version where we'll like see into the things what I missed. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, let's begin with the first thing, which we had discussed about this in the first part, but I wanted to like show you guys the ESD gloves. So this is basically used for handling all the electronics, especially like assembled ones which has all the components. The bare PCB should be okay, but anything which has like the components we have seen before, so all these needs to be handled with the gloves, because the electrostatic discharge, which we have discussed previously, has like a capability to destroy the components and the board, or like damage the components in itself. In some cases the boards are conformal coated with like different materials. That's sort of like a whole new topic for a different video, but that sort of like protects from outside environment, like the cold temperatures, or like cold or hot temperatures, or dust, or like these electrostatic discharges. But for that you have like an entirely different gloves that you need to wear. You cannot wear these textured ones. So that is something like we can look into in a different video if needed. So the things what I actually missed in the first part is that these 3 items which was actually behind these boxes, when I tried to use the tweezers, right, like you might have seen that video where I was like trying to get the components. So somehow when I flipped it, all these items were behind these boxes and I missed these things. So let's get started with the first item here, like which is the wick. The solder wick is a copper braided wire, where it is used as like in places where you need to like remove solder from the PCB. That's where you would use this. Like you might have seen in my previous video where I was like trying to rework the PCB, removing the flash chip and like removing these components here. You can use this to clean all the solder. The way it works is basically you heat with the solder wire, solder tip to the copper braid, and as the heat is transferred to this melts the solder on the board and absorbs that solder. And basically this is like one-time use, and you cannot reuse the same copper braid. You could either cut it, or you could like keep removing this. This is basically like a spool, and it has like it's wound, like I'm not sure, I think it's a meter or like 2 meters or something like that. So that's the solder wick here. And the other one is the tip tinner. This is specifically used for tinning the solder iron or the solder tip. So sometimes like it gets oxidized and you cannot use the same tip again and again. So what it basically does is like it heats the tin powder and it melts, and it sort of like tins the bit. So maybe I can like show you guys here. Let it get hot. Bring around about 300. I'm not sure what I set it to. Yeah, it's set to 370. Yeah, that should be okay. So when you see here, like when I touch it, it melts, right? Like you can see this. So now it's clean, right? Like it gets clean, and now you'll be able to like use the solder wire to solder it. So it sort of like cleans the surface and allows the solder to be better. And the next is the it's called Funtac, or it's just a clay. Basically what it's used for is like in some cases I use like XT60 connectors, and if I need to solder wires to this, like something like this, if I need to solder, what I sometimes do is like you cannot hold it for a long time because you're heating it, and the whole heat is like transferred to the casing, the plastic casing. So it gets super hard to hold it. So it's either like you could use the alligator clips from the our soldering iron holder, or in some cases like where you had to solder a wire inside a drone or something like that here. In cases like this, I would have opened the top plate, and in those cases if I had to solder the wires like the X360 wires to the ESC, that's when I would use the fun tag at the bottom of the wire to make it like stay in one place, and then solder the wires. Like you could just like press it and then like it sticks to it, right? Like it's clay basically, and you could like be able to heat, or like you don't have to hold the component. In that way, like you don't like burn yourself. So this is something like really useful stuff in most of the cases, like if you're reworking or like soldering some stuff on the drones. The next is the surgical knife, or it's called precision knife. So this is like a pen cap. I lost the actual cap of this, and this is like not safe. This is like super sharp, and the blades are like it's really sick. Like it's quite a sharp knife. Like right now I have the gloves, but it's safe to use this if you're like wearing a gloves. And what it does is like it's a swappable knife. You have like multiple knives available, and then you insert and then like tighten it. So this is specifically used for a lot of things. If you're like cutting wires, or like if you're like cutting traces specifically, you might have seen in my previous video where I've done the trace cutting, something like this here. And in these cases, like if you need a very precise cutting of the traces, which are like 0.1, 0.2 mm width, you could use these surgical knife for cutting it. Alright, so next is the microscope. I don't have a microscope to show in most of the cases. Like what I do is I use my phone. Right now it's being recorded with that, and I'll like just insert a clip here where I can show you how I was like cutting these traces. So I used a GoPro to record this, and you can see that I use my phone camera to like sort of like use it as a microphone. Most of the phones have the capability to zoom, and the better the camera quality, the better would be the image for you to like see and do stuff. And in most of the cases the latency is like very low, which means like as you move your precision knife, like it's sort of like in a real time that you're doing it. And also you don't have like too much of expensive stuff to be included in your arsenal. The microscopes I've been looking for, I've been thinking of investing. The thing is like it's super expensive. It costs around like 5,000. There are like few ones which are like 2,000 to 3,000 bucks. The thing is like I didn't want a analog microscope. The reason being like it's hard to like look through with your glasses and with your eyes, and I was looking more of a screen or like monitor based. And in my cases, like I have all my soldering set up here, and my monitor and screens are over here, which is very difficult to like do it. I don't want a monitor which I'm like connecting to my computer or like at my external monitor. I would rather like have a standalone monitor in those cases. So I would need like a space as well as like some sort of an investment. So I haven't decided whether I really need it as of now. Probably in the future when I need it, I'll like show you guys about it. The next and the last I think is the Fume Extractor. I know a lot of people have suggested that like I was using any Fume Extractor in any of the previous videos. Yes, that's true. Like Fume Extractor is like really a must thing if you're like soldering a lot of stuff. In my cases, like I did have a Fume Extractor when I was in US, but it was like too bulky to bring it back here, so I thought I just like donated it to my friend. And I was thinking that like I may get it here, but the problem is like most of the Fume Extractor are like really expensive for no reason. It's just a fan trying to like it has a filter, and then like it sucks all the air. But for some reason it's like super expensive. I thought I will build it myself with any of the SMPS computer fans, but the problem is like I wasn't sure like do I really need it. Right now I did like few reworks because that has to be done. So most of those reworks has been fixed in the manufacturing. I'm not sure if I'll be doing any sort of rework in the upcoming months. Probably I will. In that cases, like I'll try to get one or like build one myself. Thanks for your concern. I agree, like Fume Extractor is a must if you're soldering, and do not do it without that. It's not safe for your health, it's hazardous. And also, like if you have a window open, like have those Fume Extractors like get connected to the window so that like it's not in your room, or like it's just like stays in the room. I guess that's it for now. I think I covered all the parts which I had missed in my previous video. If you still think I did miss anything, comment down below. Maybe I'll make a part 3. Hopefully I'm not going to make a part 3, but if there are like few more stuff that I need to discuss, we can. Comment down below if you think that's something you want to see. And again, thanks for watching. You had to like take the gloves out to stop recording. Alright, thanks for watching guys.